injustice of life is also injustice of life. The harshness of the life itself. It covers education. It must cover it must cover the sexual life. It must cover the mental life and the mental capacity of the person itself. It must cover that, and by that I mean emotion and core values. It must cover it. But when we think of it, when we heard it, education, we heard it, or we think of it, or we say it, what comes in your mind? What comes in our mind? What comes automatically? Or somebody that's really educated? That's what we're talking about. That's what we think automatically. The reality or the truth is that, and I think that is verified, and nobody can say the contrary actually, because somebody can really cannot be advanced in education intellectually, yet if the person have mental education that has really core values, that emotional education, feeling all that, he's well rooted. And if the person have a really well sexual education and have spiritual education, because spiritual also is an aspect important. If the person has spiritual education, and they have education of life, that person, it can really be prosperous. That person will really develop, prosper, be great in, have real success professionally, financially, socially. He's gonna blow up, and that person can be successful in his all those areas of his life, even more than somebody, a lot more than somebody that is really educated. It's not to say that I'm saying, it's not to say or to assume that I'm saying that is not important. It's a necessity. It Intellectual growth and education is a necessity, especially if you want to get in some specific field, or you want to do some get some specific setting of people, or you want to influence certain category of people, you want to make to work on a project, to realize a project, is a necessity. And you sometimes you must get some knowledge, you must go and get some knowledge that are required for you to be able to attain, or to be able to realize the goal you set for yourself. Some goals is important. I'm not saying that it's not important. That's not what I'm saying. And those aspects of life must also be developed. Is, like I say, somebody that does not necessarily have these advanced intellectual abilities can go beyond. An example, if a boy, a child or educated, went to school, got degrees, all those things, and doesn't know how to met, or how to network, how to sometimes to do some things that we don't say, but it's something that you need to do, or to open some doors to some certain behaviors, certain things that are not really uh, you don't say, but there's a lot of things about life. And if the person, your child, let's say, got it good but doesn't know how to, doesn't have the mental capacity, the mental ability or strength to go through maybe failure, all those things that are the reality of life. How do you think it's gonna, this decrease, or all that is gonna, how far it's gonna go? How far is it gonna go? And those are things that is not that you or with parents don't have it. They have it, but we just forget those things. But those things are the core thing, core most important things indeed. More important even than the others. than the intellectual growth or the education. It's even important. And I'm going to say something here, but I'm just gonna easy. And the physical education we're talking about, how is it done? The physical education, is done, and even based on marks. But the physical education of a person is on, if the person doesn't have an athletic talent, if is not talented physically, that have some athletic abilities, there's no need of mark, because that's not the deal. It's first physically. What is important physically is the notion of health itself and the well-being of the body. That's the education normally. It doesn't have to go through marks. Okay, I close it. Let's come back to it. So I'm saying that I'm going to talk about children. What is the reality right now? The reality is that they spend 7 hours or maybe more in school. 7 hours in school, your child's or your children. 7 hours in school, they come back. For some parents, they come back early, some don't. How is that time even managed? Or how much time is really left to spend with them? And even when you get the time to spend with them, is the intention of even the awareness of this aspect of the education that I just talked about is even there? Or do you even think of doing actions or doing specific activities to point that out? No, I don't know what your experience, whatever, but me, what I've observed, and even me myself, is when they come back, then eat, play, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah, and then the next thing is go to bed, maybe some bed story time. Oh my god, somebody's doing paper. Some story time in bed, and then but even the story time, does it have a code to cover that? I'm not here to accuse anybody, but me, I say in this channel, is about not stating things, it's about talking about things the way they should be, not trying to adapt only to things, but it's going to the core of everything and working for it the way it should be, not just the harsh and the unfortunate reality of what we are living. So they spend those time, and they, if you try to summarize all that time that the child or the children are spending out of the home and at school, and you summarize the whole life of a child, the time is spent in the school, and the school covers intellectual growth. The time, if you take that time, I mean, is the half of the time that is of his whole life, or even more than that. How more time is left, or that you have spent with them, and that you have intentionally covered that? I'm saying that because I think we society, or we assume that the mental etiquette, or sexual, or all that spiritual is covered in the home. At home, it's not covered at school. But how is it done? Even you are as African, I'm going to say as African, how is done? Is like, okay, when the child did something wrong, is at that specific time that they say, oh, then you start screaming around, oh, it's not like this. But at school, how do you learn? They give you the topic, they teach you how it is. Then you get the evaluation on that specific topic. Then, or even you have the knowledge of it, even if you didn't get any exam yet or anything, just have the knowledge of it. But what the reality is when it happened, or something, that then they start I'm talking about my my African, South African. If you know, maybe you have a different kind of experience. Okay, that's how it's done. But in school, when they teach you things, then they give you, then they make sure that you have it. They have knowledge, and you do some exercise. No. Then you got evaluated on that. That's it. So that's even how is how parents assume, or they assume that you receive those kind of education that you've developed in those areas. That's how it's generally assumed. That's why I'm pointing it out. And I'm going to talk about holidays. Okay, holidays. Some will tell me that they got holidays, they plan holidays, they went to holidays every year, holidays. But holidays, okay. It's important to build some level of intimacy, that you get the bound to build that bound between you and your child, and always like get relaxed, get some time together, create some memories. Is really capital, is important as well. Really, really it is. And what I'm saying is that, and I don't think, or you tell me if there is a time in this, maybe 1 month of holidays or 2 or 3, that is specifically set aside to cover the education in all those areas. Let's say some activities that are specifically, also some countries or a place that you've chosen specifically for a set goal to develop your child, spiritual or mental or sexual, or the others that I've stated in life.